All right, we're going to be talking about episode 1 of Wheel of Time. This episode is called Leavetaking. This was directed by Uta Briezowitz, and she is a director we all know. She's directed Stranger Things, Westworld, Altered Carbon, This Is Us, Black Sails, Orange is the New Black, The Wire, Walk Hard. I mean, she's been everywhere, mostly as a cinematographer, but also as a director. What are your 30-second, impressions of this show?
It's like all good fantasy shows should be. It looks beautiful. It has it makes you interested in the rest of it, but some of it can be real dumb.
Yeah, fantasy can go there. Sure. Our writers on this show, we're going to be Rafe Judkins. He's a super Wheel of Time nerd, but he's not a seasoned writer. He's written on S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hemlock Grove. That's pretty much his claim to fame. We also have Robert. Excuse me.
How much S.H.I.E.L.D. did he write for?
I believe he was either the showrunner or the head writer.
Oh, well, yeah, dude. That show went on for 8 seasons. If you're on there for even 6 of it, you're a seasoned writer.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, he is when they cast him as the head writer and the showrunner of the show, I mean, a lot of people were very happy because he has always been a vocal Wheel of Time fan.
Hell
So
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Our other writer of the show is Robert Jordan. I don't know how he did that, being that he passed away, 15 years ago, but he somehow had a hand in writing this show. We have the Clarkson twins, who the only thing that they have worked on is the Haunting of Bly Manor. But we'll take them.
Yeah.
And then we got Celine Song. She's our last writer, and she's a newbie. I believe this is her first thing. So we have a wide range of people working on this. Our actors we got Rosamund Pike. We got Daniel Henney. You might know him as Takashi from Big Hero 6. He also was Agent Zero in Weapon X. We got Zoe Robbins, former Power Ranger. What do you think about that, James?
Heck yeah.
We love
specifically that not Power Rangers as a whole, because she is from the specific Ninja Steel series.
I'm sorry, she was the white Ninja Steel warrior. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Always screaming Ninja Spin. Man, if you don't like things being repeated over and over again, you will hate that show.
Yep. Well, she's going to be playing Nynaeve for us. I should mention Rosamund Pike is our star. She's Moraine. We got Daniel Henney, who plays her warder, Lan. We've got Madeline Madden. She's a relatively new actress. She's playing Egwene for us. Joshua Stradowski is playing Rand, and we're all Rand for Rand.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Rutherford, another new fella. He'll be playing Perrin for us. We got Barney Harris, another new guy. He's playing Matt. Everybody loves Matt. Kate Fleetwood is playing Leandrin. Now, when we get down, our main stars of the show, people call them the Big Four, the Big Five, sometimes leaving Nynaeve out, sometimes including her in there. But they're all relatively unknown. But then their supporting actors and their parents are pretty well-known actors. We got Kate Fleetwood, who plays Leandrin. She was the blonde-haired Red Aes Sedai. I'm sure you remember her. James.
Yeah, of course.
We'll talk about her in a minute. I know her from Harry Potter, Star Wars, Les Miserables. We got the big gun. We got Michael McElhatton. He's the Game of Thrones guy. He's the Justice League guy. He's the guy from The Last Duel, and he gives us all of our good speeches during this episode. Finally, we got Johann Myers. I don't want to say he's my favorite character in the show, but he brought me a lot of joy as the peddler, Padan Thane. You remember the peddler?
Now that dude I know.
Know him from
because
where?
He doesn't have a name. He has an occupation. I'm like, okay, I know them by their occupations.
Maybe that's what we'll start doing. I'll say, yeah, the blacksmith dude, or the...
Oh, yep. I know who that is.
The addict dude. The dude who's addicted to gambling.
Yep, know who that is.
The square dude who herds sheep.
Yep, the son.
So we'll start with Moraine. We start with her. And the first words of the show, I think 3 words, which I think are very key that we have to keep remembering throughout as you're watching season 1. The world is broken. So we have to remember that. She explains it's men's fault. Men with their power fucked everything up, and now the women have to be here to pick up the pieces. We know that they wear cool rings and that she's carrying a weapon. She's got a Matrix look about her. Looks like she's getting ready to fuck shit up. She and her ward Lan head on out to do some battle. What do you think about that first scene, James?
I thought it was cool.
I thought Matrix. Did you think Matrix at all?
I thought more, I guess, Underworld, but not as like new, because it was like leather working into the cloth, opposed to, hey, she looked like she was actually prepared for a fight, opposed to most fantasy. It's like, oh, she's got a deep V all the way down to her belly button. She's looking hot. And wow, you're really going to go out and battle in that? There's not really a lot of protection there for you.
Yeah, but I think Moraine has her shit together a little bit better. I mean, I got chills during this opening scene. Like, I've watched this episode like 4 or 5 times, and it still gives me chills. Right from there, we go directly to 2 men running through, I don't know, some kind of landscape. And they have red women on horses that are chasing them. And one of the women, a blonde-haired woman in red, I might have mentioned her before, Leandrin, makes the boulders. It looks like they're going to fuck them up by like crushing them under some boulders, but that just basically stops the guys. You remember this happening?
Yeah, and Nicole, because they were like, sisters, and Nicole goes, sisters? Like from Hocus Pocus.
Did you catch how Leandrin, when she was telling the guy, she was like, this is a gift, and she was like, this is only for women because men make it filthy when they touch it. I loved that, didn't you?
Yeah, also, before that, they were saying, we don't know who the dragon son is, but we know that they are coming of age. Maybe I don't know what that term means, but this first man, I think are they thinking this is the dragon son or someone else? But everyone besides Rand has full-ass beards. When you're coming of age, you're lucky to have a patch or 2.
They say it a few times. The coming of age is 20. All these people are supposed to be 20 years old. Rand, Perrin, Matt, that guy that they just, stilled is what they call that when they suck the life out of him. Basically, they still him, suck the magic out of him.
I guess
he's supposed to be 20.
All right. I worked at Burger King when I was 20, so I couldn't have facial hair, so maybe I could have had facial hair.
Yeah, I was one of these guys that had facial hair in elementary school. 5th grade is when it started cropping out. So I don't know. It definitely made me a mark for torture.
I had again, I worked as a teenager, worked at Burger King as well, so I don't know. But I had full mutton chops because that was allowed, and I had just the hairiest butt, and that I got ahead of, and I just was showing everyone it so they couldn't make fun of me.
That's the way to do it. It's to face your weakness head on and join in.
Just mooning everyone in the hallway, and they'd be like, oh, why is it so hairy?
Well, on top of that cliff top, while the red women were doing some crazy stuff we thought it was 2 guys. It was really just one crazy guy. Moraine and Lan are overlooking. It's not him. We're going to the 2 rivers. And you see like a ruined city in the background, like where they're at. Do you remember that?
That I don't. I just saw a mountain.
Yeah, it was a mountain, but there was also, like, if you look closely or if you choose to watch again, that's like a ruined city that's back there. Okay. And again, the world is broken. Then we have our title card, and I did not see the title sequence. I only saw it the first time I watched it, and I've turned the titles off. So what can you tell me about the title sequence? Did you see it?
What do you mean?
When they have like the Wheel of Time logo, and then they have like the song intro and like the pattern being weaved. Do you remember any of that?
I'm watching on your account, so it might have affected how I watched this.
Okay, I'll have to send you a. It's basically like an animated introduction to the show. You didn't miss anything.
All I saw was the Ouroboros snake eating itself type deal.
Yeah.
And Wheel of Time, and then in German the subtitle come up.
You have subtitles on, right?
No, for some weird reason, whenever I watch anything, whoever's account it is, and I watch something that is an Amazon original, whenever text is shown, like something that you read, the German there's just German subtitles only for that, and I don't know why.
That's unfortunate. I would recommend anybody who's listening to this or watching the show to watch it with subtitles, because there's a lot of characters that come and go, and it says like the character's name before what they say.
Oh, I should be watching with subtitles is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Even if they're German, throw them on there because you'll see characters' names, and that's going to be very helpful.
I know Rand. That's all I need.
That's all you need right now. Well, no, you don't need just Rand, because we're going to the women's little hippie ceremony where they're braiding their hair. You remember this? The Wisdom's Women's Circle. Mm-hmm. Trust the river. And, Nynaeve pushes Egwene into the river. What's the biggest thing you've thrown into a body of water, James?
I know I've thrown like a stump. Like my friends and I would, my friends also. So we lived in a cul-de-sac that had like woods around all of us, but one of the wood areas was very small and went out to the highway. And one time I was not a part of this. I was against this, so I left and I said, you guys shouldn't do this. They just put a stump in the middle of the highway.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's frightening.
I saw them doing that on CKY, which is like the precursor to Jackass. And at the time I was watching that, I was like, I hate these guys right now.
Yeah, when it just affects you and your friends, that's fine.
Right.
When it affects your family, that's okay. But when it affects people outside of your immediacy, don't do it.
Correct.
And like when they dropped like the stuffed animal human onto a truck.
That's what I'm
from
thinking
an
of.
overpass. No, thank you.
No, thank you. Well, Nynaeve just threw Egwene into the river, so that's fine. It wasn't a bird scooter. That's what I was thinking. She threw it into like a damn bird scooter. That might be the biggest thing I've thrown into a river. I mean, I've never done that. I've never done that.
Okay. Nicole, during this, she's like, man, that's some cult shit if I've ever seen any.
Yeah, and so then Egwene has to struggle, but then she realizes that if she just chills out and relaxes, then everything's going to go much better, correct?
Trust the river.
So this music being played is by Lorne Balfe, and the music in episode 1 is great. Spoiler alert, the music gets better. There's a vinyl album right now of the soundtrack to this, and the music is, I don't know, I think it's top notch. When Egwene finally lands on the shore, they did like an over position, and I know you were probably checking out, like me, you're like, oh, she's got a wet t-shirt on. But instead, did you check out the position that she was on the beach in?
No, but I wasn't trying to find nipple. I was like, why? It looks like she's a mermaid. Because it's different. Like, it looked like a cool fish that has different color. I'm thinking of that kid's storybook that has a fish on the front and it's multicolored. That's what I was thinking.
Well, this is what I was thinking. That was the exact same pose as the tarot card, the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man means different things when he's upside down and when he's right side up. When the Hanged Man is upside down, it means surrender, being suspended in time, and sacrifice. It's also a water card as well. These are pretty important points. And this did not go over anybody's heads when they were watching it because it's very obviously in the position of the Hanged Man.
Wow, thanks for throwing shade my way.
Was that shade?
You were like, oh, yeah, James is over here looking for nipple, not knowing anything about tarot cards.
I was looking for nipple first. I admit it.
Because if I have seen a tarot card, Nicole does tarot readings for herself, but they're like kawaii
Okay.
tarot cards, so they're just like cutesy looking guys opposed to the original like cryptic looking ones.
Well, check out the cutesy pie version of the Hanged Man then. I encourage you to do so.
All right. I'll ask Nicole to do a reading.
All right. After this, we got Rand and his daddy Tam. They're walking and they're talking. We see a couple key things here. Rand is quick with an arrow. The world is broken, so you got to go around with an arrow and make sure to protect yourself. Wolves up around there. They're talking about wolves. We see Rand clearing some rocks, and he wasn't just doing that just to have something to do. Are you still with me, James?
Yeah.
Okay, it looked like you were frozen in time.
Oh, no, I was looking at my notes to make sure I can, like, jump in. Can I say something about Rand?
Please.
That's, a typical fantasy name. You just, like, take out something from a normal name. I know people are named Rand out there, but I was thinking, what would be if you fantasized your name, what would it be?
Oh, I already know. When I go to Taco Bell and you have to type in your name and the order there, I always type in STEV and I leave off the last E. So it's more like Stev. That's exactly what it would be.
Okay, I put down Massage. So I'm just taking the JA and putting it at the end. Nicole said it sounded too much like massage.
Yeah, it does.
And then I asked her and she's like, well, it's easy. It would be Elokin.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like a fairy name.
Yeah, because that's Nicole backwards.
Sweet. What is Steve backwards? Yvette's. Not good. I like Stev better.
I had you down for Avestin.
Okay. All right. That's very close to the Spanish version of Steven, which is Estefan. So it's, that works. Rand was throwing away those rocks in the path because he's a nice guy. He didn't want the horse to, turn a hoof. He's talking about bringing berries to Egwene. We're trying to get the impression that he's just a nice sap. You getting that impression too? What's that?
I didn't notice the berries at first until he handed them to her. And I was like, okay, so this is another fantasy weirdo stuff. The tiniest strawberries, at least that's how I took them. He's like, here, have this. And I'm like, why? Unless they are like the most delicious thing that goes in your mouth, they're not there for substance. It's a tiny strawberry. They're
period specific because they didn't have like those GMOs in their food back then. They were growing them natural, so they don't have these big fake fruits like we have nowadays. They had the real deal back then, or ahead. I don't know when this takes place. Could be in the future or the past, but they're not using GMOs anymore in this world. All right, James, before we keep going, I'm going to take another quick break. I don't know how many breaks I'm going to take. We're going to take as many as it takes, and we'll be right back.
Chemicals embedded in the soul. I'm tragedy you read inside the scrolls. Chemicals embedded in the soul. Chemicals embedded up the tragedy you read inside the chemicals embedded in the soul. I'm tragedy you read inside the scrolls. Chemicals embedded in the soul. Chemicals embedded up the tragedy you read inside. Continuous terror with my thin thread breaks. Your strenuous terrors bring a grim headache. I'm sin set astray with a kin to decay and a venomous wearer of skin dead snakes. Cultivating doomsday with your primitive
Marshland monster. He's a little less threatening, I think, than Titanosaurus and Evil Knievel, but I'd still watch out for him. That was my remix of his song, Catastrophic. He's very kind to let me do that. Hello again, James.
Howdy. I am less threatening to other people, but much more threatening than the other monsters we've heard to myself.
You're probably right. They would leave you alone because they see you as a fellow artist, and only you would probably harm yourself.
But not in like a self-harm way, a self-deprecating and mentally self-harming.
Well, let me mention that my remix of Catastrophic that I just played is my remix. If you want to hear James's original mix, check out his album. I'm sorry, if you want to hear Marshland Monsters' original mix, check out King Kaiser X. That's where you're going to find James's original Marshland Monsters' original version of Catastrophic.
You can say James. It's fine.
I'm trying to keep it real here. You're two different guys. All right.
I'm not.
All right, so we're going to hang out at the tavern now. Everybody's having a great time. We start the scene with Daisy Conger yelling at everybody to have a great time or something or another. We see Matt. He's kind of a desperate addict. We're talking about war and Terran Ferry, something that Perrin brings up, so you know it must be something. We see an insert shot of a bracelet. Matt is checking out a lady with a bracelet and goes over and talks to her. Rand and Perrin are kind of concerned about their buddy. Then Egwene comes in, gets a big round of applesauce, and everybody drinks. Even the Wisdom. You see Nynaeve getting drunk too. How would you like to be at that bar? And that bar looked like a pretty happening scene to me.
I thought this entire neighborhood was cool. I
Absolutely.
don't like going to bars because I don't drink, but it felt like no one worked. It was just like nonstop, like, hey, we're having brunch, but brunch is an all-day thing.
Now, this is Two Rivers, and this is the town center. It looks very cramped, right? The set is pretty cramped set. Mm-hmm. But there in town, you're going to have the bar, the blacksmith. Perrin lives there. You know, the people who work in town are there. But this is a once a year thing that they're doing now. That's the reason everybody's in town and they're partying all day. This isn't an everyday thing. Like Rand and his dad had to walk a long way. Everybody in town had to walk a long way to get there. So just to know, like, it's not like every day they're doing this crap, because they're celebrating Egwene becoming part of the women's circle. And let me mention again, this town looks like a lot of fun. Everybody parties and has a good time, but the world is broken, James. Let's not forget. All right, so everybody drinks. Night falls. We see Egwene, even though she came in and she's now a member of the women's circle and everybody is celebrating her, she's serving drinks, working for her parents in the bar. She works there. Rand's not drinking. Everybody else is partying and hanging out, but Rand's not. He's just kind of watching Egwene. Then we have the entrance. We get the entrance of Lan, her warder, and then he takes off his hood slowly to reveal himself, and everybody is like, oh. And the first time I watched this, I was like, this scene is playing out weird. But then I remembered, oh yeah, everybody in this town knows each other. So like having a stranger come in the middle of your party in a very weird way, it's going to kind of like, you know, put an end on the festivities for a sec there.
Yeah.
Walking in with a hood over your head too is a really bad move. I was walking Hopper a couple days ago, and I usually wear all black, and I had, you know, a black hood on my head because it was cold, and I'm walking a big dog, and there's one of my neighbors, and I smile and say hi, and she looks like she's scared of me. And I'm like, oh, I guess she has every right to be. I'm all in black and a hood with a big dog. So Tam comes in and we're scared of him. I'm sorry, Lan. Rand's dad is named Tam. This guy is called Lan. He is called Rand. If you say him fast, it's just going to be a tongue teaser.
Rand, and Tanned.
Rand and Lan in tandem.
Yeah. They're about to be. They're going on an adventure together. Spoilers.
Uh-oh. Well, spoilers for this episode, so that's a good spoiler. We get a big glimpse of the ring. It's an Aes Sedai. Everybody's, it's a weird vibe. Perrin makes note that she looks like a normal person. Rand says, quiet, she might hear you, even though she's all across the bar. So that, you know, kind of tells you that she's a little bit otherworldly, and maybe like her sect of the Aes Sedai is kind of like, you know, has a reputation, as you can see. Mm-hmm. People are either scared or respectful.
I'd be neither. I'd be like double middle finger to you.
To Moraine?
Yeah.
Well, she was kind of shitty when she came in. That's true. She just kind of wasn't.
And she's against the Dark One, right?
James, we walk in the light. At this podcast, we walk in the light. Are you going to claim yourself as a dark friend even after this episode?
Yeah, of course, man. I'm going on the winning side.
Have fun with the fades. We'll talk about that in a second.
Those big old guys that are like, looking nice and like horns and stuff.
They look
I don't
cool.
know if we can curse on this.
Yeah.
And you think just 4 nerds in their early 20s are going to beat those guys? Absolutely not.
I'm going to get political for a second. If you're talking about strength versus good, then there's a lot of guys out there that are stockpiling guns and like assault weapons, and they're gung-ho to like take over the world. Then there's guys like you and me that are like, let's just have fun and make podcasts. Who's going to win in that scenario?
Not the podcast, unless the tongue is mightier than the steel. If that's what you're saying. We aren't going to be able to influence a single person to do anything we say. We'll say, hey, give us a 5-star iTunes review. No one's going to do that.
Even I didn't, because I don't have iTunes, so I'm not able to do so.
You don't have an iPhone or anything?
No.
What about your children?
Yes, Charlotte does. Charlotte is an iPhone 13, I think, whatever the newest one is. All right,
grab her phone.
I gave you a 5-star review on Podcast Addict. How's that?
Ooh, thank you.
I've done it twice. I did it the first time I started listening, and then I did it again about a month ago. So you're welcome.
Heck yeah.
And do the same for this show too, y'all. So Nynaeve comes over. She kind of keeps shit straight. She's like, Perrin, where's your wife? Shouldn't you be hanging out with her? Perrin's like, oh yeah, I guess I should. He goes and hangs out with her. She does like the old Han Solo to him when he says he loves her. She's like, I know. It's like,
is
yep.
that that's the blacksmith?
Yes.
So he walks up, holds her stomach, and
Yes.
this is, you see that, and I'm like, oh, you're with child. Then it zooms up onto her face, and you see the other side, and I'm like, and with earrings. She's got a whole mess. She has 10 too many earrings.
Blacksmiths are way into anything metallic. So like they'll make lots of rings. They'll make I can't talk about the books, but they make lots of like puzzles, like metal puzzles fidget spinners. They're all into anything that's fun that they can spend their time doing besides making, wagon wheels and shit.
So what you're saying is it's probably a good, or actually it's a bad thing she died. She was probably working on the lament configuration.
I am unfamiliar.
It's the puzzle box that brings about a gateway to hell from Hellraiser.
Yeah, judging from her face and her demeanor, I would say that's a possibility.
She was down with the dark one.
So after that, we see Matt goes up to his mom watching his dad. His mom's like a woman version of a cuck or something, where she's watching him.
That's what you call a queen cuck.
Okay.
But that's the woman cucking the other woman. So she is just a cuckold.
Well, the whole family has problems. The dad's a sex addict. The mom's an alcoholic. Matt's a gambling addict. I mean, you can tell they got some problems.
And the 2 daughters, they're hide-and-go-seek addicts.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that when Matt comes in, he's all concerned for his girls, and he's like, come on, you're sleeping with me tonight. And at first I was thinking they're going to Matt's house. But no, they just go to the next cot over.
Yeah. I do have comments on this. I didn't know, he's an addict and the dad is and she is too. But she says, after he's taking care of her, putting her to bed, she's drunk, doing all of this, she says, you'll be just like your father, a prick, I know it. And guess what? No, he's going to be just like his father, meaning not going to give a shit about his mom, because... Yeah, you say that to me, I'm going to say, okay, all right, I'm not going to help you out anymore.
She wasn't doing herself any favors. I felt the same way. After we hang out with Matt a little bit, we go back to the bar. Everybody's closing up. They're doing some Ben Kenobi talking about how wars are foolish and the fools who fight them. Rand and Egwene do dishes and each other.
Ooh.
Let's see. She can't talk about what happened, which all she has to say about the women's circle is that it was good. And that I could not help but think about Comedy Bang Bang and Neil Campbell's art critic character who says that every piece of art is good. And that was her assessment of her whole life-changing day. It was good.
That's me with most movies. I'm like, yeah, it's good. The only movies I actively detest have been Stanley Kubrick movies and David Lynch movies. Especially Stanley Kubrick, man. It's a good thing that dude's dead, because I would have found him and he would have got one of these.
Whoa. Damn, I know you're evil
him in
now.
His gut. That dude sucks. Also, like, he conned the cinematic world into believing he was good at what he did.
I don't know. I might be like a plebe here because I guess a Stanley Kubrick fan. I don't know if there's any thing about him I shouldn't know, but I was a big fan of The Shining.
The Shining. The Shining was one of the biggest letdowns, and also Nicole agrees with this. This isn't just me, because as a kid, I watched Full Metal Jacket, and I was like, oh wow, this just is sad and sucks. Then I watched A Clockwork Orange. I'm like, wow, this is just horrifying and it sucks. And then I watched The Shining. I'm like, wow, this sucks. Not knowing that they were all directed by the same person. And I had never had like a strong opinion on directors or like how they direct. I'm like, oh, I like Kevin Smith movies because of the universe he's created. But when it's come to directors, nothing. And then I was watching like Blue Velvet. I was like, why do my friends like this? Ugh. And then I forgot and then Dune. I'm like, I mean, everyone is of the agreement that David Lynch's Doom is like, ugh. And then there was another one I watched, and then after realizing the Stanley Kubrick, and I was like, wait, I think I also don't like David Lynch. And then when we watched Wild at Heart, my expectations were low for Engage with Nicolas Cage. And then that first half of the movie, I'm like, oh my God, no, he is a genius. And then the second half, I'm like, oh no, he shit the bed hard on this. This is the David Lynch I'm aware of.
I knew you were a dark friend, James. I'm a big fan of both those guys, and David Lynch especially. And I agree with you. The first half of Wild at Heart was like one of like the best things I've seen, and the second half just went way downhill. So like when me and my ex-wife used to watch that movie, because that was like a regular movie in the rotation. Yeah, we would just watch the first half, and that's it.
Yeah, man, it's so good, that first half. Then the second, once they get to Tuna, just flash forward probably like 6 scenes. Hopefully you skip over that scene with Willem Dafoe and Trancer's own. No, that's not. She's not in Trancer's. Helen Hunt. There's a scene with those two in a hotel room. I hope you skip over it.
Well, let's see. I got to bring up the berries once again, because Heather, my wife, called this totally. Like when he pulled out the berries from his pocket and was like, blah, 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 berries, huh? She was like, my wife was like, I hope she does not eat that disgusting berry that's been in his pocket all day. And that's exactly what Egwene said. So everybody was thinking it Rand. That was a bad move. But I was thinking that, so Rand would pick berries for Egwene. He did not remember. He would give them to Egwene. Egwene does not remember that. So they don't have, neither one of them have a memory of this even happening. Do they? I don't know. I would think when you live in a small town like that and not a lot of stuff happens, you would remember if some little boy gave you berries, right?
Unless those berries are psychotropic.
Ooh, I told you they were good berries. Right after that, we got some bath time with Moraine and Land. They're doing some scrub-a-dub and some real slow water heating magic.
Okay, I had a comment on that.
Please.
He's like, oh, I'm surprised they even have this tub. It could be a little warmer. And like she like twists her hand around, and I thought, it's not being made warm by magic. That's by urine. She's just making peepees in there. So steamy.
I don't know why that didn't even occur to me.
That would also be like such a cool prank. You can do magic and you're like, he, I'm actually peeing, but I'm going to make it see, it's like a sleight of hand trick. You're focusing on the hand, but what you should be focusing on is where the stream of heat is coming from.
Man, I thought that steam, I've told you before, I'm focusing on the positivity of the show, and I'm not going to do book comparisons. But that steam that occurred like after she did that looked like an Instagram filter to me. Did you pay any attention to that at all?
I mean, so here's my idea behind that. It looks realistic opposed to, like, when you warm up a tub a little bit, unless you're in the middle of like the tundra, there's not going to be a lot of steam coming off from it. It's just a little bit of steam, and that's accurate.
I guess so. I just couldn't help but notice that it looked a lot like when I go to my Instagram stories and can add like filters to them. It looks like that's what they did in the show. Like, hey, let's put an Instagram filter on there to show some steam. They're talking, and they talk about we got to find, the one. They immediately cut to Egwene right there. That was a pretty serious cut to. We know that Egwene and Rand had just had their little situation between them. They're talking. She's talking about listening to the wind and being an apprentice, and Rand is not thrilled with that idea because he likes the idea of being a husband and likes the idea of having some kids. This whole scene kind of ends on a really weird note. Any thoughts there?
Yeah. One, I thought maybe because I didn't know the dragon kid was good. I thought that was the dark one. So I was like, oh, the like candles are like going weird, and it seems like there's a bunch of wind. She's actually the bad guy, but we'll leave that for later because they're all the good guys. But in that, she says, I didn't say yes or no. And then I wrote down, I said sure, because that's a thing from the Joe Barbera book. Is he would say his motto was, do not say yes, do not say no to any project that could potentially pay you and your company. Say sure to everything, because that is not a commitment and that is not saying no. So if it works out for you, hey, guess what? You're getting paid. If it doesn't, you can say, well, we never agreed to this.
I couldn't agree more. I've been using that same philosophy for years at work. It took me a long time to get that philosophy. What are you wiggling in my face?
Oh, no, I'm just making sure you know I'm still here.
Thank you. Because, sometimes you'll like do like a C-3PO like pose where like, oh, I think he's in stasis mode right now. And I'm like, oh, no, I cut him off. All right, yeah, I like that. I wiggle that thing in my face all day. So we got this ending weird, cuts right to a scary guy. We hear like some whistling, like some scary guy whistling. And then immediately after that, we're kind of like cutting right to Padan Fain, and he's whistling the exact same tune as he comes into town. The kids seem to love him, though. I don't think they would love that other guy that was whistling, but this guy's friendly. We got Egwene serving Tam, which is Rand's dad, and he informs her that, Rand ain't around right now. We kind of check in on everybody. Perrin and Layla, I think they did it last night. They seem okay. Matt and Padan Fain, we got to go into that. So I'm going to stop right there, James. Any notes?
Have we gotten to the part where they're like listening to the wind? Is that during this? Okay.
That is right next. We got Matt and Padan Fain, and he's got the bracelet that he somehow got off of that young lady in the tavern. And it makes it clear that it was stolen from her and that he cannot sell it in town. And he does not get shit for it. He just gets a couple of lanterns. And it's like, ugh, that's a pretty bad trade. But, later on, those lanterns are kind of important, we find out.
Spoilers
for this episode. It's okay.
Really? Then no, I did not notice that at all. Once we get there, you'll have to explain why those were important.
Okay. Moraine's watching some stuff go down. She's watching Rand. And, first she's walking through the town with some spidey sense, and everybody's kind of like, ugh, what's up with her? They start
screaming, "Get out of our town, freak!"
They're screaming it in their heads. They're afraid to say it to her out loud because they know that she is a powerful, I don't want to say wizard. She's a powerful Aes Sedai. It's exactly what she is.
We don't believe in your hoo-ha religion. It's all made up.
But we desperately want to please you, though.
I've been there.
Yeah. Well, you hear her and Land. They're talking about the eyeless might be here. That's the whistling evil guy we heard last night. And don't forget the world's broken. We got Rand and Egwene up on the rock top. Rand's talking about his dreams, wife and kids. They can still fuck, right?
I guess, but, you know, if you have a slip up, maybe she would have to stop being an apprentice.
Yeah, and I'm selling it short, too. I mean, Rand wants a future. He doesn't just want to have sex with Egwene, which he's already having anyway.
Just more. Am I right, ladies? That's what men want from you.
They want everything. Don't take that job. Stay home with me and have children.
I would have laughed if she said, like, on the mountain, she's like, hey, let me push you off. It'll be fine. They did it to me.
I'll show you what the women's circle did to me. You wanted to know, didn't you?
Just trust the gravel.
All right, we're gonna get to the next scene where we got the wisdom Nynaeve. She's washing out the sacred pool. At the first scene of the women's circle, you see when Egwene's getting her hair braided, you see that her clothes are already wet. And at first, I thought that was a movie mistake, that they filmed that scene out of order. What they didn't show you is that pool that Nynaeve is cleaning out is like a cleansing pool. And she even says so in this speech, that she's the one that keeps it clean for everybody. So that is where they cleaned Egwene before they went and braided her hair and before they pushed her off the cliff. Any questions?
No, nothing yet. Except like this in this scene is when I'm like, oh, I don't like this wizard lady.
Yeah, because you hear Nynaeve's point of view about the Aes Sedai. Like, Aes Sedai suck. Like my boss went to you guys and y'all rejected her just because of the way she looked. You guys suck. And Moraine is like, well, who are you? There's no town records. Nobody knows you. Where did you come from? How old are you? Etc. And they both have an issue with each other. It's obvious.
She's the dark one. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, we go back in town. We got the three guys. They're still drinking. Everybody loves partying in this town. Did you check out Rand's nice sweater in this scene?
Yeah, it looked cool.
It looked like a J. Crew sweater. It looked like legit.
Yeah, it's made of probably his sheep.
Yes. I was thinking this scene, if there was the opposite of the Bechdel test, which of course is like, with a count of like when there's a scene with women in a movie or a TV show, how often are they talking about men? These guys would fail the opposite Bechdel test because all they're talking about all the time is women. That's all these guys are obsessed with is like women, basically. So that's what they're talking.
And their friend's gambling problem.
True. Yeah, they're talking about that too. But I think if you did the Bechdel test, you'd see 80% of the time they're talking about women. And the other 20% of the time they're talking about their own shit. This is where we come in when we got these ladies listening to the wind, which seems like a cool pastime to me.
So I like meme things, like memeable stuff. This scene is very memeable, where they say, do you hear what the wind is saying? And then like it rustles, and then you could just insert random things. Like you could do like a ch-ch-ch, and it's like, oh yeah, that's fucked up. You could also put, what were my other alts for that?
Oh yes.
Your car's warranty is about to expire. Throw in one of those messages.
God.
Or,
these are great.
Man, or just like, hi, mommy. And then that's, like a Robert Durst from the Jinx. That'd be good.
Oh,
hi, mommy.
I'm caught.
Yeah, just you could throw anything, throw the Taco Bell ding in there.
I love making memes, James. I'm going to get on this as soon as we hang up. Did you see the meme that I made with Egwene and Nynaeve pushing her off the cliff?
Yeah, I did.
That was an original. I did that.
It's good. Yeah, of course it's an original. You're talking about our podcast.
Well, what I meant was
the format.
I didn't take anybody else's format. I took screenshots of my own television to make that. All right, so we just heard about Listening to the Wind. I got to bring this up. One of my old favorite songs from the 90s was from Zendik Farm and their song Listen to the Wind, which almost made me a cult member. This group, the Zendik Farm, was pretty predominant in the late 80s, early 90s as like a hippie outreach cult. And they would go to a lot of Grateful Dead shows to indoctrinate young hippies like myself with their philosophies and their great music. They really did have good music. They had an old fella about, I say old, he's not much older than me now, but he was in his 70s and he was their lead singer. And that was their big song, Listen to the Wind, which is still playing in my head to this day. Do you have any familiarity with Zendik Farm?
I don't.
Okay. Well, I just told you pretty much all there is about it. It's a hippie
How's that
cult.
song go?
Listen to the wind. The voice is an inspiration.
Not at all what I thought a hippie band trying to indoctrinate people was going to sound like.
It was pretty metal. It was very metal. That's why I liked it.
At least Manson had like catchy, like melodic tunes going on.
To a person who's into like hippie jam band music and also into rap and also into metal music, Zendik Farm like hit all those places just right.
Okay.
And it was very underground. You could tell they recorded it on like the shittiest recording possible. But I heard it at a very impressionable age, so it stuck with me.
They recorded this on a 1-track. Yeah, they just had a phonograph cranking on a big old horn.
Back in 1989, that's how they did it.
Yeah, that's what you should be doing. Straight to shoot, James. You got it. Plastic cylinder. I don't know the exact name. Damn it.
Steinograph? I don't know either, man. See, it's even
wax
before my
cylinder.
time.
There we go.
Wax cylinder. All right, I'm going to have to mention here too that we cut to land. Overhead shot of him looking around at a bunch of bloody deer, and they were nicely arranged in a nice yin-yang symbol. I thought that was pretty polite. Did you like all that blood and gore?
Yeah, I thought it was ominous.
I did too. I would have had like a little snack. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, but I mean, I do like the idea of free range, so I might have like taken a slice of that.
Yeah, but it's probably got that poison from the neck that guy had.
Yeah, you're right. This is why we're a good pair, because you're reminding me of the dangers that I'm ignoring.
Because I know philosophies and practices of the Dark One, so I know those deer also had it.
Well, we can definitely tell that some shit is going down. We can definitely tell the world is broken. We left off last time, and we were right at minute mark 29, and we're back in the village. I'm starting us off here where the three men, I should say. They're 20 years old. They're sitting around a table.
Age.
They're of age. Moraine's being creepy, looking out the window at them. Perrin and Rand offer Matt a little bit of money. Do you have any notes for this scene?
I don't think I do. I forgot his name was Rand.
Because we're Rand for Rand. I can't believe you forgot your joke.
Yeah.
I have a big note from this scene, and that is, this is a life tip that everybody could take. If somebody offers you something that you desperately want and need, like money, in Matt's case, you politely refuse, stoically refuse. They offer again. They insist. Here, man, take it. Then you politely say, thank you, I really appreciate it, and you accept it. I think Matt did the exact right thing in this situation. Instead of belaboring the situation and making a big thing of it, he acted completely accordingly. That was my note.
Now, if it's something that you desperately need, in the lines of, I don't know, a Yogi Bear merchandise.
Right.
And someone offers to send it to James McCollum, P.O. Box 180036. at 2011 West Montrose Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60618. That's a situation where you immediately say, yes, send it to me.
I will follow that advice. I think I'm going to turn back time and send you something 3 weeks ago. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. You did.
So Moraine is watching the boys as she's doing this, and then we cut over to Rand and Tam up in the mountains. Beautiful scenery. I didn't mention last time that this show is filmed in Prague. It was filmed pre-pandemic, so we're talking 2019. They're up there with their lanterns, and they're talking about Beltane, which is a ceremony that they do with the lanterns, and they light the candles in the lanterns. Now, I mentioned the lanterns last episode, how Matt traded in his stolen bracelet for a couple lanterns, and you know now what the lanterns I'm referring to, right?
Yes, I luckily rewatched this just in the spot where I'm like, oh, okay, hell yeah, I know what is going on with these lanterns.
So yeah, Matt's got a couple of them now. That's what Perrin, suggests to Matt to do with the money. He's like, here, you can get some lanterns with this. Of course, Matt's already got his lanterns because he's already swiped the bracelet from Dana, which we're not big fans of. And that's something I wanted to, that's a good bumper to say this. These characters that we're watching on this show, these are the television characters of the Wheel of Time. These are not the book characters of the Wheel of Time. You have to think about this as a different thread, a different pattern of the universe, like a parallel universe. These characters are not the same as they are in the books. And it's apparent, especially with the Matt character. All the observations I'm making about Matt, about him being a gambling addict, about his mom being a drunk, etc. These are television show observations. These are not book observations. So I'm talking about the Matt that we see in this show.
Yeah, you dumbass nerds listening.
Yeah. I tried to explain it to them nicely, but if they don't get it by this time, then they are dumbass nerds.
I'll punch them.
Rand and
digitally.
Rand and Tam are up in their home. They're hanging their lanterns up. Michael McElhatton has given us a great speech about the Wheel of Time, about reincarnation, that they don't really necessarily need to be there in Beltane with everybody else, which is the ceremony they're celebrating. They're not just celebrating Egwene becoming a member of the women's circle. They're also celebrating Beltane, remembering those that have died. And the great speech about, we don't remember our old lives, but, we honor those who have passed. I have read a lot about the Wheel of Time theory in television shows, and I have a Steve Barnes original take. Michael McElhatton is saying here that we don't remember our old lives. Earlier in the show, we have Rand who gave Egwene berries and does not remember. Egwene who received the berries from Rand and also does not remember. They don't make anything of that, but I couldn't help but put two and two together. How could they not remember this moment? And now we got him saying we don't remember our old lives. Steve Barnes, on it, buddy.
I like that. But forget reincarnation. I'm all about Ren-incarnation. Rencarnation, I should say. Huh? It's an MC Ren solo album from NWA. Put out in maybe like 2009.
Something else for the show notes? Maybe put a link in the description?
Yeah, guys, listen to MC Ren's Rencarnation.
Well, the main thing that that Rand's father wants to suggest is that we do better than last time, that we live our lives better. So they're doing their thing up the mountains. Down in the village, in the main town of Two Rivers, we get a speech from, this is Egwene's mom, who is standing up, and she kind of has a more Indian look about her, more dark skin. And she's the one who says, we got to give them something worth coming back for. Everybody party. That's Egwene's mom. She's also she runs the tavern as well. She insists everybody party, and everybody does party. Even Layla, you see her smiling and partying. And we cut over, you see Padane Fane in the corner. He's not partying, but he's kind of like watching everybody. He kind of reminds me of like a drug dealer in the corner. Like that's the guy you get the Molly from. Did you have any notes about this party at this point?
Not at this point, but I did have he seemed so casual after the enticing incident is about to happen. When he leaves, I'm like, was he in on this?
Yeah, he does kind of stroll away as if like, okay, later dudes. We haven't got to him quite yet. First they groove normal. It's a normal dance. Everybody's just kind of freestyling it. Then they get into that circle pattern, which I know they did it for the overhead shot. And I know they did it because it's circular and it's a wheel. But it looked like no fun to like turn, clap, clasp hands, get into it. That's the kind of dancing I just do not prefer. When they tell you what to do and everybody does it at the exact same time.
Chicken dance.
I think a chicken dance might be a little, I'm thinking more like the electric slide. I'm thinking
Tootsie Roll.
Say again?
Tootsie Roll.
I guess I'm more of a freestyler. I like to not be told what to do when I'm dancing.
You don't like square dancing?
Heck no. That's the worst of them. That's exactly what they're doing, basically. This is a square dance.
You've heard of line dancing.
Of course.
You've heard of square dancing, but this, Wheel of Time dancing.
It's a new twist on dancing.
The twist!
Well, the twist, everybody does it a little bit. That's another freestyle dance, kind of like the Tootsie Roll. It also could be a freestyle dance.
No. This is the twist is totalitarian. They say, now you do the twist. And they're screaming it at me.
They are, yeah. They're forcing you to do it.
Yeah.
So they're doing this dance, and Egwene grabs hold of it. It looks like she grabs James McCollum to me. This like thin, like good looking guy with the long floppy hair. I'm like, was that James that just got stabbed by a Trolloc? That's when the whole thing goes to shit. These Trollocs attack. But these Two Rivers people, like, even though they're stunned and they're like not knowing what's happening, they pick up arms pretty quick and can fight back.
Not quick. Absolutely not. I just remember two people, and then there is one that we will get into later, that lady's like, hey, come and get it then everyone picks up arms. But I think it took them way too long to start fighting back.
Well, no, they scramble first, but then I think they show pretty quickly, like, people in the background, like, turning around and, like, trying to hit at the fades, not the fades, the Trollocs. I got the sense that these people could, definitely hold their own against an attack.
I thought they were saying trollops, and I was like, they're calling them like hussies? Okay.
I guess that's a Wheel of Time. I think that's a Wheel of Time invented word. Have you ever heard the phrase Trolloc before?
I don't think so. I'm guessing it's troll, but mixed with something else.
That's exactly right. And I've never heard that phrase outside of Wheel of Time. I'm not a Wheel of Time expert or a fantasy expert, but I'm pretty sure that these are within our world only. So like I said, I think these people are pretty quick to fight back. I don't think they do too terribly bad. Considering they were not prepared for a battle, they were able to fight back and take a couple of them down before our big guns got into the fight.
At this time, I thought, because I didn't know what was going on, I was like, are they trying to force out the Dragon Kid? Will the Dragon Kid rise up and be like, I now have flames for fists, and just start punching people?
Well, right. It is kind of revealed like later on the show that that's the reason that they are there. Moraine is looking for the dragon. These Trollocs are after the dragon as well. And yes.
Wait, are one of these four kids coming of age adults? Are they one of the dragons?
Yes. Moraine says that in this episode.
Okay, I took it as like one of you are like the people who will be able to find or aid the dragon.
No, one of them is the dragon. Yes.
Okay. So one of them's going to get flame fists and start punching soon.
Maybe next episode we'll see flame fists and punches galore. Keep
All right,
watching.
hell yeah. This battle reminded me so much of Dungeons and Dragons.
I was really impressed with the single tracking shot of Barney Harris. That's what I wrote down because I'm really not a huge fan of fight scenes and action scenes. But at minute mark 35 minutes, 25 seconds, and it lasts for about 30 seconds, you see a single camera shot of Barney Harris. Let's see. First, he looks stunned. Then he trips over a Trolloc who's eating somebody. When he trips over the Trolloc, he then trips over another dead body. Then he runs through a fire. Then he knocks over a bunch of stuff. And this all happens in one single shot that Barney Harris did. And that was my favorite shot of the episode. Yes.
It's baffled me because at this time, I don't think there's any fighting back happening. And is this when we go back up into the mountains?
Not quite. Nynaeve is trying to care for this elderly bearded guy, and they kind of take a moment of clarity where she and Egwene kind of, when something traumatic happens to people, their frame of time can kind of stop. I was in a bike accident one time, and as I was flying through the air, I had time to notice all the pebbles in the road, and I could see like glints of sunlight. It was like time froze while I was in the air before I hit the ground. I think that is what Nynaeve and Egwene are experiencing right now. They're in such panic shock that they're just taking in this moment with every single one of their senses. At this point, yes, Rand and Tam get a little personal home delivery of a Trolloc attack.
Hell yeah.
So Nard comes in, and we learn that that Tam actually can fight his ass off with a sword.
Yeah, I wrote down this entire town has one fighter and one swordsman, and I'm guessing a crane comes into play soon.
Oh, what comes into play?
The bird, a crane, or a goose?
Yes, I was thinking you were referring to like a mechanical crane that was going to come in. And
I think Nicole also thought that when I started screaming, "They're a warrior of a crane," and then she's like, "What the fuck is he? What?"
Refer to it as a heron, because that's what that is.
Okay.
It's a heron. It's a heron marked blade, and a heron marked blade is just the stamp of a accomplished blade master, and only an accomplished blade master can have that on their blade. No counterfeits. It's like an NFT of swords.
Ooh.
So yeah, he has a pretty rough time with that fight there, but Rand comes through in the end. Back down in the Two Rivers, everybody's still fighting. This is why I didn't answer your question when I allowed you to ask 3 questions a couple episodes back, and you asked me, is Nynaeve a main character? I did not answer, and this is why, because she's dragged off by a Trolloc in this episode, and she's gone. Egwene sees her taken away, and she says multiple times in this episode, Nynaeve is gone. That's exactly why I didn't answer your question, because it's answered right here, James.
All right. Before that, we missed something. When they were taking in a little bit, a trollop starts trying to fight them, and like she takes out this tiny little dagger and like slices them a couple times, is about to really get into them, and there has to be a Dungeons and Dragons spell that does what the lady I don't enjoy did. Or you want to know what? I guess I'm kind of on her side now. She should have just been using this spell the entire time. She uses a spell of bisecting and just rips one right in half.
Yeah. She takes the power of the light, and she's able to focus and rip up some evil. And she alternates between using different tactics. Like sometimes she'll use the light to, like you said, disintegrate them. Sometimes she'll pick up a big boulder and like heave it at them, or sometimes a lightning will strike them. It's because she's using different elements of power, and when she uses one, she has a switch to another to keep the attack going. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That boulder attack was the worst attack, in my opinion, because first off, you're tearing apart a pretty nice building that's been there for a long time. And then boulders know no magic. When a boulder is flying through the air, it doesn't need magic. It already has propulsion, and it can kill anybody, not just a trollop. I'm
guessing, so in D&D, terminology. She does, it looks like it's going to be a fireball, but it's probably like a 5th level firebolt because multiple firebolts go out. That thing that brings up it, like a druid spell could do that and wouldn't be as high of a level. And you're thinking of your spell slots during the day. And you can kind of crash where that bisecting thing is probably like a power word kill, which is a 9th level spell. That's, I think, as high as they go. But someone needs to homebrew someone has to have done a Wheel of Time Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Absolutely.
Having power word kill be re-established as like a bisect spell would be devastating because power word kill instantly kills you if you fail your save. But, or I think, no. I think it's like if you're under a certain amount of HP, it just will kill you. Whereas a bisecting, that's terrifying for everyone. You see your friend like, oh yeah, we're fighting. This necromancer just rips your friend in half. You're like, oh my God, there's no saving them. I'm so sad and terrified.
Well, the non-magic is why I was saying these town people can fight. Exactly that. Nynaeve just pulls out a butter knife and takes on this Trolloc. And then you hear Daisy Conger like yelling, and then a bunch of women like take their pitchforks and they take down a Trolloc by themselves. She's yelling and leading the town people on.
They start screaming, "The Dark One dies tonight." And then the people of Haddonfield should have been Wheel of Time fans, watched this or read it, and they're like, wow, you want to know what? Let's not just hit him with baseball bats. Let's just shoot him with a bunch of guns many times until the only movement from his body is the force of a bullet going into it. I guess, Mark, spoilers for a Halloween movie. You guys figure out which one.
I'm clueless, so yeah, that's good. Let's see, here we got, you see the town people all looking out for each other, like Perrin's trying to save his wife, and then he saves like other people at the same time in the blacksmith store. I don't know what you'd call it, storefront. Goes on a Wolverine berserker rage, and in doing so kind of takes out his wife at the same time.
Which I felt like this was so pointless.
You're not alone in that thought.
Because, or at least don't make him, because unless they're going to then fuel that to like he becomes influenced by the Dark One because he wants to save his wife or something. But if it's just for emotional stakes throughout the series, it's more emotional to know that you are trying to save your family, and not just the one you love, the one that is you're also trying to save the world that your future child will be raised in.
Right. Yeah, you're onto a lot of things right there. And the reason that we're doing this podcast is because the show is not a simple surface level show. It goes into a lot. So acute observations. Keep those things in mind as you're watching. Like, why did Perrin go through that?
I'm a little cutie with my observations.
You're a sweet child of cutiness. So yeah, she grunts a lot, unnecessarily so, in my opinion. He says, look at me a lot. People like to say that, like, look at me as you're dying. I don't understand. Maybe to take your mind off the fact you're dying. I don't know the point of that.
I would tell people if I got sliced in the gut like that, I'd just say, look at my wound. Stare at it.
So, yeah, Matt runs into a room. He's got like his parents are there. A bunch of people are in there, but not the girls. His parents are kind of forgot about the girls. Matt runs to find them, takes them out of one hiding spot to another hiding spot, Good move, Matt. I don't understand that at all.
I think because he might be fearing the town could be set on fire. So if they are in like underneath a building while it's set on fire, they're going to die.
Yeah, that's true. That was my first initial thought. The first time I watched this, I was like, okay, it was hiding in a building. And then he finds his girls that are in an even better hiding place. And then he's like, let's run through this Trolloc fight and go to a third hiding place. It's just one of those Steve Barnes pauses. That's all. So Moraine has to go through different levels of magic and different levels of killing the Trollocs. She takes a pretty giant hit. She gets hit by a javelin that goes right through her. And, you know, I'm sure that your thought and my thought too is that's it. But she just casually pulls it back out, and it's not really a big deal. Did that surprise you or not?
Yeah, because at the time I didn't know that they had like in Final Fantasy terms, white magic, which is healer magic.
Right. Yeah, they'll get into much more of that in the show. But yeah, just to let you know that she not only can do magic, and not only do people, you know, think she's otherworldly, but she also can take a deadly hit and keep going.
She's like a 9th level cleric and a 9th level wizard, which is pretty badass.
Yeah. I mean, she's the ultimate badass. She's the ultimate badass Aes Sedai. That's why we have a show and she's our main character.
But guess what? Multi-classing doesn't let you get those really high-level skills, but the Dark One, he's full on level 19, whatever the fuck he wants to be.
I can't wait to have a good conversation with you about the Dark One. That's coming up. But yeah, Moraine's playing dodgeball with the Trollocs, and it looks like she wins. But in doing so, she tears up the town. The wine spring inn is gone. Everything's on fire. Rand comes back through town the next day because he needs healing bad. His dad's not looking good. Goes to find Egwene. She informs him once again, Nynaeve's gone, but, you know, Egwene can definitely help. Remember, she was, you know, supposed to be Nynaeve's apprentice. So now she has a
braid.
She got a real quick promotion.
Yeah.
So she's in charge of the healing now. Matt's parents continue to suck. I'm just not seeing any redeeming qualities. Like, they shared a brief moment in the Beltane ceremony where Matt handed his mom the lantern, and it looked like there might be like a brief second of a loving moment. And that's the only time I've seen anything nice with the Cawthorns family unit there.
Can I comment on? Of
course.
It's another D&D type thing of when she was trying to do that final spell to just kill all the trollops. It was like hey guys, it takes like a round to prep this spell. Everyone protect the spellcaster because they're about to do something that will just end the battle. So it will take us many rounds to end the battle without them. Correct.
Yep. And the healers, you got to save the healers as well. I think there's a mention in it's a funny mention. It's either Wheel of Time or Game of Thrones, one or the other, where they're talking about the people that they cannot kill. Don't kill the women, the children, or the blacksmiths. So keep them alive at all costs. Well, all right. So yes, we're back and she's healing people. Moraine comes up to heal Tam, and we see that she has to do some significant healing to him. And it looks like it kind of hurts her in the process. But instead of a thank you, she gets yelled at by Rand. Kind of rightly so, because from the townspeople point of view, it's like you guys came into town and all these Trollocs attacked us. Moraine has a little something to say back to them, and we're going to go into that in just a second, but we got to take one more quick break before we come back in with our final thoughts. Okay, James?
Oh, yeah.
So let's get back into the show. Where were we at, James? We were at the very end of the show, weren't we?
Yes. The trollop poison.
Yes, Moraine was letting everybody know the reason all those Trollocs were around. It's not necessarily after her and her warder Lan. She says they're here for the same reason that I'm here. I'm here for one of you. The dragon is one of you four. I saw this 20 years ago. She gives a nice speech about how she understands that the dragon is one of them. The best moment of the show, in my opinion, is when Matt says to her, "Have you fully lost your mind?" And then she kind of giggles a little bit. That's the only time we see Moraine as a human, is when she kind of laughs at Matt's joke right there. The rest of the show, yeah, she's not the most endearing character to anybody. Any notes right there?
Nope. Just I'm excited to see where this road trip movie takes us.
Right. Yeah. She says the only chance is the White Tower and the Sisters of the Aes Sedai. The Sisters of the Aes Sedai, of course, would be Moraine and those women in red that we saw that were hanging out with that fella earlier in the episode, having a great time with him. So yeah, they say goodbye. Perrin. So we haven't heard a word out of Perrin since this whole thing happened with Layla. Yes, James.
What were they doing in the beginning then?
The women in red?
Yeah.
They were chasing after the two fellows that turned out to be the one crazy guy.
Yeah.
And then they stilled him. They sucked the magic out of him.
Oh, okay. I thought they just killed him.
No, they sucked out the magic. It's called stilling. And those are also Sisters of the Aes Sedai. So when Moraine says our only chance is the Sisters of the Aes Sedai, that's who she's referring to. These women that can do the magic.
And that's just because they believe men shouldn't have magic.
Not necessarily. The reason that there are their only chance is because nobody else can stop these Trollocs except for people who use magic, or maybe some master swordsmen like the warders.
No, I mean why they sucked that dude's magic out.
Oh, yeah, because men who touch it are filthy and they're evil and men don't deserve it. Exactly. And they also make mention at some point in this episode that the world is broken because of men and their magic. So, yes, the red Aes Sedai ladies seem to just want to suck it out and just get rid of it.
What if I'm just using magic?
I think I said earlier, she was pretty pleased with herself, too. She was smirking and loving that whole moment.
What if I'm just using magic to grow some really heady kine bud?
If they found out about it, same thing, man. I'm sorry. They would suck it out of you and then they'd smoke all your weed.
What if I was using it to propel a water turbine to make clean energy? I'm not dirtying anything. I'm keeping it clean burning energy.
Are you a man or are you a woman?
I'm a man.
Well, sucking it out of you, buddy. I don't care what you're using it for. It's gone. So I'm worried about Matt's little sisters. Like, who's going to be looking after them once he's gone? What's that?
It takes a village, the town.
He should have given somebody some specific instructions for looking out for these girls. But the episode ends the way that every book begins, with the Wheel of Time description. So at this point, James, I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask 3 questions that can be show, book, or personal related, and I'll do my best to answer them or veto them. If I veto them, you'll get a chance to ask another question, of course. What you got for me today, James?
Well, I think I kind of got them all.
Oh,
like
good.
why'd
Well,
they suck his magic out, or what happened to that dude? I thought, because I originally thought they were looking for the dragon, and I thought the dragon was a bad person, and that's why they were like, oh, and I thought this was a witch hunt of like, let's find the dragon and kill them. Oh, we don't know who really is a dragon, but just to be safe, we're going to kill everyone we think is.
I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they explain in the show that the dragon has the potential to either save the world or destroy it.
Okay.
So they're just the women in red are just taking no chances. There's like, if you got magic and you seem evil and crazy, you're done.
Damn.
Okay, so that was one question you had. Can you think of anything else that you were not clear on that now you are? So maybe we can clear up some listeners as well.
I don't think so.
All right.
Does this show stay fun?
I don't want to spoil anything, and I will not, but I will say that when the first time I watched this episode, I liked it. And then when I saw the second and the third and the fourth episode, I loved them.
Hell yeah.
So I think we're heading to good territory here.
And then my third question, I guess, would be, even though it's hard to do sometimes, should Nicole be watching along with me?
Yes, she should, because she likes the same things you like. And no?
Debatable.
Okay, debatable, but it seems like you guys have a Venn diagram of some specific pop culture, and I think that this could fall in to that Venn diagram.
The things that I like that are shitty, she hates, but the things that I like that are legitimately good, she also likes.
Right. I'm the same way too, because you'll suggest shows to me to watch. You're like, you got to watch Double Dare. And I'm like, I do not need to watch Double Dare.
I think everyone should.
You've suggested other things to watch that I think that are legit, that are, I don't know. I think I'm with Nicole on this. I think Nicole would like it. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be good for her to even not like it and to just get her perspective on it. Because I have Heather's perspective, and it's good. I'm glad that I have it. So, yeah, I think you should enjoy this with another person. I think it'd be a good idea.
All right. That's why a lot of the times I will clarify, because people in my friend group think I just like shitty things, and they're like, everything you like sucks. Which is why I will clarify, no, Nicole also vouches for this. It is good.
Yeah, and I think she would. You said that she kind of like watched over your shoulder a little bit. But yeah, I would give her a chance to like watch the first, because you've already seen the first episode. Mm-hmm. I would give her a chance to watch that on her own. Like, so she can just absorb it herself. And then you guys watch the second episode together. That's what I would suggest.
All right.
Because you have to watch the second episode here.
Yeah, still.
Have you watched any like teasers for the next episode or anything like that?
No, I'm going in blind.
Good, very good, because I hate when they do that. But all right, yeah, we'll wrap this one up. This is episode 3 of our show, but we just finished watching episode 1, Leavetaking. Next episode, we'll go into episode 2. We played He-Wolf, we played Future Projector, we played Tell. This is Introvoid and Marshland Monster. My plug is, as always, Instagram, Introvoid, which is intro.void. You get links to my music there, get links to my writings, which I haven't written anything in like 2 months, but you can sue me if you'd like. And James, what about your plugs? What do you got?
Hey, go to mlmpod.com for links and information about all the podcasts I do, most specifically Shuffling the Deck, which is the definitive introductory ICP playlist podcast that Sean Marciniak and I do. Steve has been on it. Or Mostly Speaking Sentai, that's Nicole and I showing guests in the world the Super Sentai series and try to get our friends into that show again. Steve has been on it multiple times. Mm-hmm. Then listen to my music under Marshland Monster, as well as go over to patreon.com/MLMpod for exclusive podcasts such as Engage with Nicolas Cage, talking about Beyblade, even though that's ending, This Existed, and the Toko Reading Corner.
You know, sometimes you buy something and it becomes capital and you can make money off of it. Well, if you go to James's Patreon and sign up, he's doing a giveaway in a couple of weeks. He's giving away a bunch of stuff, and everybody who enters has a pretty fair chance of winning all that stuff.
Yeah, $5 and $5 patrons get 1 entry, $10 patrons get 2.
Yes, it's a ton. I mean, we're not going to go into here about everything is in there. You're going to see it on mlmpod.com.
Patreon.com/MLMpod.
But yeah, it's well worth it. It's a capital investment. Speaking of capital investments, we're going to say goodbye with our huge investment right here, which is Sweet Child of Time. Until next time, James, may you always find water and shade.
And may you as well.
Thank you very much, and goodbye. You have to say goodbye too, James.
Goodbye.
There he goes.